The ego is the system that runs your sense of self. It is made out of thought patterns, emotions, and behavior loops, and the stories that try to hold it all together. Left unchecked, it creates endless existential searching, chronic disconnection, and the persistent sense that something is wrong. The goal of my videos is clarity, to see your identity and its contradictions for what they are, named precisely, to finally understand what it is that we're all running away from. We as human beings became so intelligent that we gained the ability to predict a wide variety of things. And we're really a predictive engine. But now we can predict our death. We can predict social consequences. We can predict how our life is going to turn out 5 years from now. And this prediction is more like a sort of emergency button of the nervous system for you to survive. But it gives us the reason to worry endlessly. Now you have to wonder, I didn't sign up for this. I don't want this. Like, I cannot be certain that I'm going to be safe in the future. So now, let me figure out how to philosophically solve my existential conundrum and somehow find a loophole in how reality functions so I can be at peace with it. And then spawns philosophy, religions, and all sort of rituals in confrontation with this reality that we suddenly are finding ourselves in. The spiritual narratives that you can see all over the internet is to just be here now and just be present and just experience this present moment. And there's deep wisdom in acknowledging the tautological nature of existence, to see that whatever is the case is self-defined, and what the humans try to do, the humans, as if I'm not one. So what we humans try to do, what we humans try to do, this was difficult, more difficult than it should be. So what we humans try to do is we try to use the philosophy and lay it over our own existential problems in order to kind of fix our view of reality. But we are not really looking at reality itself. We are trying to fix the view of reality. And a lot of times when you fall into this sort of thinking pattern, you're scared of truth. You don't want the truth because the truth is too simple. It doesn't give you this meat that the intellect can chew on. So what I did is that I doubted truth as a thing. Like I didn't believe that truth actually exists. I believe that everything is subjective. And since everything is subjective, you cannot ever have like real access to reality. And the tricky thing about this way of thinking is, as true as it might be, you are also then opening the door to a ton of subjective interpretations of your own mind and then taking them as if they are true, because you kind of believe that there's not really an ultimate truth. So whatever you believe and makes you feel good is good enough. So all that you're really trying to avoid is to lose your sense of identity with these belief systems that give you the philosophical overlay to accept reality, instead of stripping this all away and just being confronted with the rawness of its existence. The rawness is where you as a child had so much joy for life, just experiencing and wondering about stuff. But then you get hurt enough, you either get hurt by social dynamics, or you get hurt by just by actual physical survival. And now the predictive engine goes on full force and builds some sort of defense mechanism into your personality that then tries to make what you see into something else. So instead of just existing for what you perceive the truth to be, you take the truth that you see, filter it through 3 layers of your own personality, have then this filtering enter your own awareness, and then project your insecurities on top of it, and then this is what you see. But this happens like this. It is immediate and it is quick, and people do not notice. But if you are around people, you can see this all the time. People don't respond to your words. They are not listening to you. They're responding to their own defense mechanisms. Their own opinions comes from their own defense mechanisms. But it is not how it's perceived. What is perceived is that this is the truth. All so that you can be in denial about what actually is the case. I cannot stretch enough how this denial about what is the case causes all human societal problems, because we keep lying to ourselves in order to be kept in our own bubble. And oftentimes, materialists and atheists are extremely good at this because the materialist framework is so solid and so coherent that anything that contradicts it is easily to be ignored. And when you then encounter such ideas as panpsychism, or you have your first strong spiritual experience through a meditation retreat, and you see how odd a consciousness can shape itself, then it starts to loosen the sense that everything is truly materialistic, and it can be a bit destabilizing. And there's where a lot of atheists go deeper into philosophy. And this is also what happened with me, because philosophy is kind of a way to mend the space between spirituality and existentialism. It is a space where you can find a lot of companionship about deeply emotional and spiritual topics that might feel too esoteric for most people who are deep into science and atheist stuff. There's also a certain pride about knowing already how reality functions and being certain in the fact that we're just apes on this planet and nothing really matters and all of the stuff. It gives great comfort, and it feels like you're just looking at reality for how it is. And to a large extent, this is true. Like, evolution is true. We are apes in a real sense. Like, all of this stuff is how things are. And there are also the religious folks, right, playing these games of denial because it doesn't fit with a lot of conceptualized worldviews through the Bible and stuff like this. But then even there are like higher layers of experience where people are dismissive about potential oddities. For example, the idea that consciousness might be a field instead of just everything being material, spawning consciousness. It could be the other way around, and that consciousness is what makes material reality emerge. There's also a question about weird esoteric stuff like I'm not into astrology, but I guess you could mention astrology, but more so I strongly prefer near-death experiences and of course psychedelic experiences. They reveal that there is an isness out there that needs to be investigated way further than what we are pretending. Because the real isness, like the ultimate isness of all things, is the conscious awareness of your own. It is how immediate and undeniably real your own experience is, and how everything you do is just trying to distance yourself from the realness of it, which causes emotional suppression, which causes greed, causes addiction, and all of this toxic stuff. How do you actually see things for how they are? How can you just be in the isness of the thing? Because the way I'm describing it is that, your body basically filters everything out. So how are you supposed to know? And you do really need to apply radical skepticism for a long time. Like, skepticism is such a huge, huge component to see things how they actually are. Because if you just believe everything at face value, then you are just believing whatever, you've been indoctrinated with. If your parents were religious, you're likely to be religious. If your parents were from the right, you're likely to be from the right. Although there's also the rebellious side to it. So you might just have switched to the opposite because, you didn't want to agree with your parents. but you're basically indoctrinated by your culture into what you believe. And you then basically need to be very, very skeptical and deconstruct all the stuff, which brought me to the place where I thought truth doesn't really exist and it's all just subjective experience. And I've written a Substack article that you can check out here, where I go deeper into how to not fall into the trap that everything is just subjective and you can not really know truth, and how truth is like a real and important thing for both your life, society's function, and your own intellectual growth. So if you are skeptical, the only thing left to deconstruct when you deconstruct all the ordinary beliefs and your own like biases, and honestly it requires a lot of time and a lot of social conditions for you to deconstruct your own biases, because you kind of have to be confronted with them, And then only that, the last thing that you need to deconstruct, the last thing you need to be skeptical about is skepticism itself. Because if you're forever skeptical, then you're never going to be seeing how something is. Because instead of seeing how it is, you're going to doubt it and you're going to question it and you wonder what the meaning of life is. And then you're not really in the thing anymore and projecting all of your own wishes and desires onto reality. And yeah, this is the bane of our existence.